Let's hit it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation, as usual, as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about.
Everyone, and welcome back to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and if you liked our opening music, it's called Clarion Call by the Mark Arneson Band featuring Maya Dore, and you can download that on any of your favorite music platforms. For those of you that are new to Alzheimer Speaks, we're about sound information, not just sound bites. We want to have real conversations with real people who are in the trenches with dementia. Those living with the disease, those caring for them, businesses, authors, musicians, movie directors, advocates, researchers, everyone is welcome because we don't feel that we can make sustainable change unless we include all voices. I also have to thank our listeners. Your likes, your clicks, and shares are always much appreciated. And this show you're going to find really fascinating. I know I sure did, and I am so excited about this product. I think it's going to be life-changing in so many ways for so many businesses, so many families, and especially those with dementia. Now, before I introduce our guest today, I always like to give a shout out to a couple of organizations. So I have to give a shout out to the Memory Cafe Directory because they are near and dear to my heart. You can go to memorycafedirectory.com and you can find listings for memory cafes in 5 different countries. I personally facilitate 3 memory cafes. 2 are with Arthur Senior Care, and we hold those on the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday of each month at 1 p.m. Central Time, and then 1 with Artis Senior Living in Woodbury, Minnesota at 1 p.m. on the 3rd Wednesday of each month. You can reach out to me to get more details. Of course, those are virtual now, so you don't have to be in Minnesota. You can be anywhere in the world and join us if you'd like. I also have to give a shout out to the Dementia Map. I am so excited that Dave Wiedrich and myself partnered up on this. It is just absolutely a wonderful, wonderful tool. We're in the beginning stages of building this, but the reception has been fabulous. It is free to use. There are wonderful resources on there, but in addition, there's also a calendar of events and a blog and guides and so much out there. So if you're interested in being part of that, please reach out to me, or if you have any questions on how to use that, again, reach out to me at lori@alzheimerspeaks.com. I'd be glad to talk with you on that. Last, I want to give a shout out to Coro Health. They are still allowing people to download 2 of their music apps, Music First and Coro Faith, which are wonderful. And again, just go to Coro, that's CORO health.com. Now, before I introduce our guests, we're going to hear from the Foot Bar Walker.
Introducing the life-changing Foot Bar Walker.
I'm Peggy from Danville, Kentucky, and I'm 91 years old. The Foot Bar Walker revolutionized my care of George. It absolutely benefits the patient and the caregiver both, and that's the beauty of it. It's so easy to use. It folds up just like a dream. I got it in and out of the car without any effort at all. The saving that I made from having to put him in a nursing home came to about $192,000.
Does someone you love use a walker? Do they struggle to get up from a seated position? Are you a caregiver dealing with physical pain and stress as you help your patient? The Foot Bar Walker was designed to assist not only the patient, but also the caregiver. Patients have more control standing up, and no lifting from the caregiver is required. See how it works at thefootbarwalker.com. That's thefootbarwalker.com. Peggy, would you recommend the Footbar Walker?
Do I ever? I would not be in the health that I'm in today at this age had it not been for the Footbar Walker.
So, finally, I get to introduce you to Stewart Bates. He is the marketing director for Inspired Inspirations, which is an amazing touchscreen activity table for both the industry of care and education. This thing is incredible. Well, Stewart, I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. When I saw your product, my eyes just got big, and I saw the pictures and the reactions of people utilizing, your product. And so I couldn't wait to have you on the show to be able to share it with people. But before we get into the line of questioning and everything, I always like to ask everybody if they've been personally touched by dementia in their own family or circle of friends.
No, we're quite fortunate within the family. Pretty much all of the members of the family are kind of relatively young. We haven't got any form of dementia or Alzheimer's within the family at all. So when we were asked to go into the care sector with this product from education, it really was a completely new experience for us. So over the last kind of 3-4 years, this is where we've really been learning on the job, and it's really opened our eyes as to the effect that dementia has on people, but also the friends and the relatives and all of the loved ones, seeing the family members go through dementia. It's been, there's been quite a few eye-opening experiences within care that we've had.
Wonderful. Why don't we talk a little bit about Inspired Inspirations? How did it come about, and what the heck is it?
So especially it's a family business. So there's one of us that kind of class him as like the clever one. He comes up with the ideas. Started off with education, nurseries, preschools, and then myself and another brother-in-law, we spent a fair bit of time marketing the product and really understanding how it could work. So we were really kind of marketing it at the early years education, where it go through the education curriculum and really help the children with basically all aspects of it. So not just the learning, but the physical side of things and understanding as well. And obviously you got the IT equipment. And then there was a contact from a lady who's got care homes. She made contact and was saying, oh my God, your table's amazing. It's really helped my daughter with this, that and the other. Can you do anything with care? Like we really struggle with technology within care. There isn't very much out there. Is there anything that you could do? And we kind of sat down and we're like, we've got no idea. As I say, we're not from a care background. So we really had to do a bit of work on the market research to kind of find out what sort of technology care homes do use. And that's where when we sat down, we put a few ideas together, and we were blown away with the opportunity. Really, we kind of sat down. You've got projectors that use like interactive projectors, but it's quite difficult getting some engagement with some of your residents with it. Quite a few care homes that we spoke to. This was literally just at the market research stage. We just rang up a load of care homes to say, what technology do you use? A load of care homes were saying, we use iPads, we use tablets, but they're too small, they get broken, they get lost. It's very difficult. You're trying to FaceTime family members, and they're kind of shaking all over the shop, they get dropped, etc., etc. So we love touchscreen technology, we love the potential, but it's just not quite right for the elderly. So yeah, this is where kind of the tables are born. We found out that actually if we can put touchscreen technology into an extremely robust unit, put it into a really nice design so it fits within a care setting, so it doesn't look like a really clinical piece of equipment, and standing out and looking like it's kind of suited for a hospital. It looks more like it's suited for a nice home environment. So you've got nice solid oaks around, but it's really robust. So if it does go into a care setting where you've got really challenging behaviour, yeah, it's fine. It's as hard as you like. The screen, you got 5mm tempered glass screen on it. So it was everything was kind of thought of, and then we just kind of went out there really and started saying, what do you think? And since then, the market's gone quite crazy for them, really.
Wow, I gotta say, I was shocked when you gave it that old wackadoo there. I was like, oh boy, what's gonna happen? But that is so smart because, again, I love the size of it. What size is that? Just
So this is a 32-inch screen. So from there to there is 32 inches. Okay. This is, from all the care homes that I've personally been in, this is the table that this is the size screen that I'd always recommend for care. What you find is when we can supply a bigger screen, but when you kind of go in with a bigger screen, if you're looking at that sort of size, you've got another 11, 12 inches on the screen. If you've got a resident who struggles physically and they're kind of lying in the chair a little bit, and you're trying to entice them and build up the confidence a little bit, and they're doing a jigsaw puzzle on it, but they can't quite reach into the corners to get the pieces, what I've seen is their confidence goes. Yeah. So what we found is the 32-inch screen is like the optimum screen size. We've tried 22 inches and 27-inch screens. They're good in certain settings, but for a table to be sat literally right in front of a resident like this, to be able to do all sorts of activities on it within a reaching distance, comfortable reaching distance, this is the best sort of size.
Okay. And it doesn't it turn so it's kind of a tabletop if you want it to be as well?
Yeah, tabletop as well, so you can have it landscape and portrait, okay? Just like a tablet would go. And then on the side, you can have it as a tabletop and then various different locking points as well. So The idea being, I mean, this table, this specific model was actually designed by care home managers. So they saw the first table that we developed, that's our baby, it's still a favourite. But it raises up and down on the motor. So big screen, goes up and down on the motor. That's really, really good for your residents who are in more specially modified wheelchairs, or they're mobile-wise, you need some more options for height. Care home managers will say, look, we love your table, but it's a bit out of our price range, it's a bit heavy on thick carpets. Can you do something that's set at seated height? Yeah, you still got the adjustable points where you can go at different angles. You can wheel it up to a resident, do a quick 10-15 minutes exercise with them, and then move on to another.
Now, one thing I noticed when it went to tabletop mode, can that be lowered too? Because that was kind of high for you.
So on this model, no.
Okay.
So this is classed as our fixed height models. This is the most popular table. It's lighter than the one that goes up and down. We do have a table that goes up and down. We call it the high-low. Okay, so it goes up and down on the motor, and it goes when it's in this format. Yeah, when it's tilted, it goes up to around about 6 foot. But obviously, you've got a big heavy screen, yeah, and a big battery at the bottom. We've got to kind of weight it as well at the bottom, so it's not likely to topple over on anyone when it's all the way up. So the drawbacks is where the positives is it's height adjustable. The drawbacks is obviously you're going to have a load of weight with it as well. So if you're in certain care homes where the hallways might be quite narrow because it's a nice old building, for example, trying to wheel it around can be a little bit more difficult because you've got another 30-40 kilos in it.
Okay, great. Well, I want to really talk about the sensory use and the importance of that. You know, you talked about, this is accessible. We do have a larger one, but when somebody can't reach, then, we cut their confidence in half, and you don't want them to feel like they're a failure, they're not able to. So I love how in tune you are with all of that type of stuff. I guess, what is the benefit that you're really seeing with the sensory? I think we all kind of take it for granted on our phones, on our tablets, what we're doing. But what are you seeing as far as reaction and benefits from people in the care homes?
So it's part of the guide that we send over to care homes when they order one of these, because as you can imagine, with lockdowns and what have you, care homes aren't able to have demonstrations from us like they used to, where they'd physically see a resident involved. So what we do is we send over a guide. We include the most popular apps from the Google Play Store on that are used in care at the moment. And part of the guide that we put over is, in your first few days of using the table with your residents, it's going to be new for your staff, it's going to be new for your residents, so you want to build up everyone's confidence with it. So start off with your sensory applications. So things like this is an app called Magic Fluids, completely free on the Play Store, yeah. And you wheel this up to a resident, particularly if you've got a resident that you want to just kind of have a more calming environment with them, okay. When they put their hands on the screen and they get all the different colours coming off, yeah, a lot of residents you'll find will be mesmerised, partly because it's technology and it's completely new, and they're of a generation which haven't typically used a lot of technology. Okay, run the hands over this, and they don't have to use the fingertips. They can use the knuckles. They can use any part of the body. They can even use a stylus pen as well. But with the other colours coming off, what they find is that it's quite soothing. Part of your best practice guide is to set up a folder for each of your types of applications as well. So when you're trying to look for them really quickly, you can tap straight into it. This particular app was great on one example. I was in a care home, and there was a lady sat there. No one had done a huge amount with a lady. We turned that down a little bit. While I was there, she was in the living room and she was kind of sat in the corner. And as I was leaving, we'd done a couple of activities with a few of the residents. As I was leaving, I was a bit determined. I thought, I'm going to have a quick chat with her. And as I was walking up to the manager, I went, oh, no, don't worry, she's losing her sight. She won't be able to do anything. I said, is she losing or is she lost? And she goes, oh, she's got macular degeneration from the dementia. She really struggles to see. So went up to the lady, ever so kind of soft and gently. So introduced myself. I said, I'm just going to ask you to touch the screen, and we just want to see if you can see any fireworks. She goes, don't worry, lovey, I'm losing my sight. I said, well, that's what we want to see. We just want to see how you're getting on. And she ran a hand over the screen like this, and the whole face just lit up. And she was getting, she could hear the fireworks going off, and she could see some of the colours coming through. And she started telling us what she could see. The manager went from being quite icy and stern. Straight away, she had tears in her eyes. She was just like, I never, ever, ever would have thought you'd have got any sort of reaction there. And it was something just as simple as this. And then one of the favourite apps that you'll see on all over our social media, to be fair, is this one. I'm going to turn the music down because it drives me crackers. It's called Bubble Bliss, and all it is, it's ever so simple, it's tapping bubbles. Okay, I don't know how well you can see that through the camera, but bubbles are rising. Okay, and what you'll find is you can just tap them away, and the bubbles just keep coming. And what it's really good for is you got hand-eye coordination, but it's extremely addictive. And you'll find residents will they'll do it until they're a little worn out. They'll have a breather, and then they'll sit forward and they'll just on their own. They'll just keep tapping again because it's so addictive, and the music and everything. It drives you crackers, but you have to keep tapping it because the bubbles are there. So something as simple as that. I mean, the three applications I've just shown you then, they're all free on the Google Play Store, and that's the nice thing about it. You don't have huge software costs with this. And if you get bored of them, you just delete away, go on Google Play Store and see what other ones are on there. You've got all sorts of things. You've got sensory fish apps on there where you can put fish on the screen, and when you touch the screen, the water ripples away. All sorts of different things where you've got the visual and you've got the auditory sensory element.
Wow, that's neat. Now, what about like games and things like that? I mean, the bubbles and all those things are games, but I mean, something that's more structured and not so abstract. And again, for our listeners right now, if you're looking at the screen, we're not seeing it as vivid as what it is there. So we will give you a YouTube channel that you can go see and have a little better visuals than what we've got here. But I mean, for the most part, this is working great.
Yeah, I think I need to sort the lighting out in this room. It's not the greatest for being able to show this. So games-wise, you've got all sorts of different games. Okay, so you've got things from jigsaws and word searches, which can be done individually or in groups. The jigsaw app, I mean, we put App of the Week out every Friday, and we put the specific app that we like, because if you go on Google Play Store and type in free jigsaw app, you're going to get about 100 of them. And it's trying to trawl all the way through them to find the best one. It's hard work sometimes. So what we try and do is say, the jigsaw app by this developer is our favourite one. It moves the smoothest. It's got the nicest graphics on it. It's got the biggest array of pictures. The jigsaw app that we like, you can even upload your own photo. So if you've got a resident who's kind of got mid sort of stages of dementia where memory's not the greatest from what they've done the previous day or in the morning, you could have taken them on a tour on Google Earth to where they used to live or where they used to go on holiday or where their family lives. Yeah, what you can do is you can take a screenshot of where you've gone. So let's say their favourite view. You can then import that screenshot into the Jigsaw app, and later on in the day, the following day, a week later, you could be doing a jigsaw with the resident, of their favourite view, and as they're putting the pieces together, they start going, oh, that's our favourite view, that's here, that's there, that's the other. Yeah, worked perfectly with a lady. one resident, she was from Gibraltar. Her favourite view was from the top of the Rock of Gibraltar, looking over Spain. She loved it, and that's exactly what the care home did. And it was brilliant because as she's putting it together, her whole face was lighting up. Brilliant. So you can do things like that, and again, they're really good. It's not just the mental element and kind of keeping the mind going of, well, where's the word searches, where's the jigsaw pieces. It's the physical element of constantly leaning forward, moving a piece, doing something, leaning back, leaning forward, moving a piece, moving back. Then you've got things like chess, Connect Four, drafts, all your typical sort of board games that you can do. You can either play against a computer or you can play against another resident. So you can do things like that. We put App of the Week today. We put I can't pronounce it very well, possibly, so I don't mean to offend anyone. Is it Mahjong? Yeah. Mahjong, because it's a great tile flipping game. So you got to match the pieces up, and as you're matching the pieces up, a nice picture comes available. So that's quite popular. And you've got things like dominoes, and then you can have like what we class in the United Kingdom as pub games. So things like darts and pool and things like that, where again you can have the table flat. So you mentioned earlier the table's quite tall when it's flat. One of the reasons we've done that is so that it can be at this height when it's tilted, but also if you've got residents who are physically able, try and get them stood next to the table when they're doing an activity. Let's say playing air hockey. You can have a resident either end of the table. They could be playing against each other, and it's obviously physically it's far better than just being sat down all the time.
Oh, cool. So you can play against one another. That was one of the questions I was going to ask. This is just so neat, and it's so adaptable. Now, I loved going back when you were talking about the woman with the macular degeneration. And it is so common where we just make assumptions. Oh, they can't do that. They can't do that. And to be able to have a tool that says there's no harm in trying this. Let's just see. And to be able to flip our opinions. I mean, when you've got a screen so big, the odds are up. But again, we still have that belief it's not gonna work. So I think that is really important to try to engage everybody with this, because you've got so many different options, for touch points to be able to reach them.
Well, if we could just kind of cut in there, if you don't mind, as far as what you were just saying there about we have in our head the kind of preconceived idea, they're losing the sight, they won't be able to do anything. Yeah. One of the most common things that would happen within a care home that catered for dementia residents was I'd have a little chat with a resident. We'd be talking away, and I'd be trying to find little points that are important to them, just to get them comfortable with the screen, that I can take them somewhere on Google Earth or YouTube or somewhere like that. And if I'm sat there with one of the ladies asking questions like, who's your favourite singer? Whereabouts did you live before you came here? And I can take you there. Or where was your favourite place to go on holiday with your husband, etc., etc. And if you start seeing kind of the confusion or the pain in their face, and they're getting really frustrated with themselves because they can't remember, it was almost like it was scripted. They do exactly the same thing. They'd always say, "Sorry, lovey, you're wasting your time, because I'm losing my memory," like that. And they'd always do it with a bit of a sad face. You go, "No, honestly, it's perfectly fine. So who's told you you're losing your memory?" And they'd always point at the staff and go, "It's them. They've told me. I'm going balmy, So yeah, right, I'm going to prove to you you're not. It's not as bad as you think." And I take them on an app here. You probably can't see it on the screen, but it's called Tell Me Wow, or the developer is Tell Me Wow Senior Games. And there's 5 different applications, and they're all designed specifically for the elderly. That one's my favourite because that's a memory game. And they're free, again. And you go into it, and it's brilliant because it's ever so simple and easy to use. And it's 2-pair. So remember, you play 2-pair with cards. So you turn all your cards over, and then you try and find the pairs. And you turn one over, it was a king, and you turn another over, it's a jack. And you go through them until you've got all of the pairs. It's the same thing, but it starts off on a really easy level. And you sit there and you do that with the residents, and you see in the body language, the whole confidence changes. You go, "Oh, I did that. And go, yeah, look, you got a score at the end. You got 92 out of 100. That's good, that is. Come on, let's try the next level. Let's see if we can do a little bit harder." Yeah. The whole body language changes, and they go, "Oh, I'm not losing my memory at all, am I? Go, see, I told you, right, let's go and take you somewhere on holiday then. Where should we go?" And then we're back into it. And being able to do something like that, literally at the push of a button, is brilliant.
Wow. Yeah, I can see how that can happen real easily when you're told over and over you're this or you're that. I mean, and it happens with our kids, it happens with everybody, to kind of prove that concept wrong and be able to engage them and empower them. And that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Now, you mentioned Google Earth. Can you give us an example? I don't know if that'll show. I would think a lot of people are probably somewhat familiar with that, but I would think that, especially for our seniors, they would just be fascinated to be able to see an old neighborhood or something.
It's hands down. It's my favourite thing to do with any resident, any resident of differing abilities as well. So it's not just for people who you can have a conversation with and say, "Where's your favourite place to go on holiday? Where did you get married?" etc., etc. Or you kind of mid stages of dementia where you've got to take things a little bit more slowly. I've even had so many occasions where it's been the later stages of dementia where you sat there with a resident and a family member, for example, and the family member is just desperate to get some sort of engagement from the resident, because obviously they go into the care home to go and see them, and they just want to get some sort of engagement that we're here, you recognise us, etc., etc. And there was one lady in particular who went into a care home in Leicestershire, and I was there doing a little bit of work. It was an advanced dementia care home, and obviously it was before COVID. But I was sat there doing a little bit of work with a couple of residents on the bubbles and the sensory. And then this lady comes over to me. She goes, "I've come in to see my husband." She said, "I've got nothing from him. Sometimes I get a flicker of the eyes or a bit of a noise or something. I've had nothing from him all day." She goes, "It's breaking my heart. I've seen what you've done. Can you come and see what you can do?" So we went on Google Earth and we found the house that she lives in, where he lived before he went into the home. And it just so happened that as you go on Google Earth, so let's just drop us down somewhere. Yeah, you go on Google Earth, you drop yourself into Street View. Yeah, it just so happened as we went past their house, they've got a lovely driveway down to this beautiful house, and they've got a big double-fronted garage there. And the garage door was half open, and you could see his workshop within the garage in his green overalls. So as we went past, we saw that, and literally 5 minutes before, the gentleman had just been sat there looking into the distance with no engagement with anyone whatsoever, not engaging, knowing that I was sat next to him, etc., etc. But as he was looking into the distance, and we kind of manoeuvred the gentleman so that he could see the screen a little easier, and his eyes went straight to the garage. And the lady was saying to him, can you remember that was your workshop? That's where you used to do your woodwork. And can you see green overalls? And he couldn't take his eyes off the screen. And he was looking all over the screen. He was looking at his beautiful garden and things like that. And although he wasn't talking to us, you could tell that there was a recollection there. And then it turns out the gentleman's favourite hobby was carp fishing. So we then go straight onto YouTube and we get videos up of some gentlemen there fishing and catching some really big carp. And the resident was sat there. He was mesmerised by it. And his wife turned around to me. She said, "That's made my day." She goes, "I've not had a conversation with him. I wasn't expecting to, but I've had some engagement." And she goes, "That's for me. I know that he's still got recollection of what he used to do."
Yep. Wow, powerful.
Mm.
And to be able to give that peace to others around, not let alone the person with dementia, that's unable to communicate the way they are. I mean, that's just huge. That's just so huge. I mean, my mom had dementia for 30 years, so I get that feeling of loss, and do they know I'm even here? And but you can see and sense that they feel connected, and I think actually that they're having feelings watching all of that too, and participating in that. That's really, really neat. Or people going to favorite vacation spots or whatever it might be. I mean, it really doesn't make much difference. Now, I've heard, and I don't explore this myself. I'm not personally big on a lot of apps and things like that. I should probably do more of it, and for enjoyment. But can you go back in past, so like back to the 1950s? Do they have anything like that to be able to explore, or is that more photograph type things, I would imagine?
Well, it's a mixture. So my brother-in-law John, one of his favourite things to do is YouTube, because you've got a whole host of things on YouTube, obviously. So where you can do reminiscence tours on Google Earth, so you're going to almost anywhere in the world, wherever the Google Earth car's been, then you can go. So that's really good from a reminiscence point of view, and seeing what places look like now, and then you can have the conversation at the resident table with what it used to look like then, or whether it's changed or not, etc., etc. YouTube, you've got all of the entertainment side, past and present. So there's a care home that I know of, for example, they've got a couple of gentlemen there, they're huge boxing fans, so they use streaming services with a table to watch some of the more recent boxing matches, but also the past boxing matches as well. And they've got, like, they call it the old boys club, because they've now got quite a few gentlemen there. They'll do it in the dining room. Quite a few gentlemen there where they'll sit around, and let's say they'll put on old George Foreman fight or Larry Holmes or someone. Then they start having a conversation. I remember when this fight was going on, and they start talking about what was happening at the time when that fight was on. But it's not just boxing. You've got your football matches. There's a gentleman down in South Wales who was seen as a resident with more challenging behaviour. So when I got to the care home to do the demonstration, went with the manager to go and meet the gentleman, sat next to him. And the only reason I'd say he was kind of more challenging with myself is trying to talk to the gentleman, and he was very sort of dismissive. He was very sort of get away. I don't want to talk to you. So just ever so quite quietly, I was just sat there with the screen next to me, and he was sat next to me there. And I'd overheard someone say that he liked football. So I just quietly said to him, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I said, excuse me, I said, who's your favourite football team? And he looked at me, and all of a sudden there was a little bit of a glimmer in his eye. It was lovely. And straight away, he goes, Liverpool. I said, all right, okay. I said, what's your favourite ever Liverpool football match? Ever? And he said, Liverpool versus Newcastle, FA Cup final, semi-final, 1974. Straight into Google, into YouTube, found the highlights for it straight away, put it on. I said, what, this match? Straight away, the gentleman, it was almost like he was back in the room. He was watching it, and he was talking to me like we were in the pub together watching a football match. He was telling me all about it and who his favourite footballer was and all this, that and the other. And it was literally like he'd gone back 40, 50 years. I've never seen a transformation in a person like it. It was amazing. And the manager was just gobsmacked. And then, yeah, he was just nattering away with me about it. It was brilliant. So YouTube, you haven't just got your sports, but you've got your hobbies. You've got, if you want to take someone back to where they used to live, you don't just do it on Google Earth. You can then go find a documentary on the place on YouTube if it's an interesting place. And then you've got your music therapy as well. So you're not just, if you find someone's favourite singer, let's say Jim Reeves, for example, or Elvis Presley, you haven't just got them listening to the music. You can look at the screen and you've got Elvis live in Las Vegas, and the ladies will be sat there saying, oh, things I'd have done to that man when I was younger and things like that. It's not just the auditory stimulation, you've got the visual stimulation as well. And then on top of that, you do have specific apps. I haven't got the list in front of me, but it is on the list that we send out to care homes. There's it's like a Golden Ages radio, so it's actual recordings of radio stations from the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Okay.
So you go onto the app and you can just listen to the radio stations from back then. So there's all sorts of things like that you can do as well.
Wonderful. Now, there's also like physical exercise and yoga and things too.
Yeah. So I've always said to care homes, if you've got a really caring member of staff or members of staff who are going to use it, and they've got a really good imagination, then this will be used 24 hours a day. So we've got videos. It's on a couple of our videos on YouTube, on our pictures on our Facebook page as well, where care homes will pop this in front of the residents, and whatever the video is that they're watching, they'll dress the resident up in whatever it is. We've got residents who've been scuba diving, so they've put masks on them and snorkels and this, that and the other, and pretended that they're scuba diving through the video that they're watching, cycling, rowing, all sorts of different things, and they've really had some fun with it. But you can get apps that are specifically exercise for the elderly. You can, there's all sorts of classes and videos on YouTube. So you've got exercises for the elderly on YouTube, or wheelchair bound exercises, etc. And then, you've got yoga for the elderly. You've got anything that you can think of. It's not just for your brain training, your memory training, and kind of mental stimulation. If it's used correctly, then you have all the physical stimulation as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. Are there apps for like old TV shows and things like that too? You had mentioned radio, but I'm just thinking some of the old black and white TV shows and things.
I can't think of any off the top of my head. I don't know of any specifically for TV shows, but all care homes will do for that is they'll just go on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Because YouTube has kind of almost everything on there. They've either got the clips of it, or they've got the full films.
Okay.
But you have more streaming services now. I think now, like we have Netflix and Amazon Prime and things like that. You've got, I think it's MGM Grand is a new streaming service, so that's got a lot of the old films on.
And that can be hooked up to the system too. The streaming you can do, anything internet-wise you can do here. Well, I've got to ask, because I'm sure people are interested in knowing, if you can give us kind of a range of cost, and are you in the U.S. yet, or do you have plans to come to the U.S.? I just find this I can just see this working so well with so many people on so many levels. I just think it's brilliant. So kudos to you guys.
So this table here, this starts at £4,000 plus VAT. Now, if you're in the United Kingdom, that includes your delivery, training, webcam as well, because we haven't even discussed video calling, which at the moment with all of the lockdowns that we've got is even more important. But it was important beforehand because residents obviously have members of the family who can't go in 24 hours a day, or they live the other side of the world. So it includes delivery, training, your webcam, list of the most used applications, and you've got all the telephone support from us as well. So if you're really struggling getting some engagement from a specific resident and want someone to talk to about it, then either ping us an email, give us a call. That's what we do. So that's £4,000 plus your VAT, and then it goes up to around about £6,000 in plus your VAT, but that's for kind of bigger screens and when your tables go up and down. This is the most popular table that we do. If you're looking at kind of care homes in America or abroad, obviously we'd have to add shipping costs onto that, but that's something we'd have to do that on like a deal by deal basis, depending on where they are in America and how many tables were ordered, etc., etc.
Do you know what a conversion would be for the pounds to US dollars? Is that something you could do on the computer really quick? And
I can do that very quickly now. So live now, that would be around about $5,500 US dollars plus taxes and plus delivery.
Okay. I wasn't sure when we had talked before if you were able to sell in the US or not yet, but you can.
Yeah, we'd be able to. We've had a couple of inquiries. I've got a friend of mine. His auntie-in-law has a couple of care homes in America, and she's trying to figure out how she'll be doing it. But yes, I mean there is a need for it everywhere. It's just we're probably the best way of describing this. We are quite a small outfit really compared to a lot of the big companies out there. We are just a family business from countryside is kind of the way I describe ourselves really. So kind of getting the product out there has been a nice, slow and steady process. But with the internet these days and everything that's happened over the last year, it really has kind of gone boom like that, which is how I think you got in contact with us, which was lovely.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the video calling and stuff too, because, to have that big screen like that, that's just incredible. It's got to be so much more engaging for people to be able to see. And I think that in itself is fabulous, because, when you've got something in front of you that is that big, you can't ignore it. Where with something else that's a little bit smaller, that makes it just a little bit harder to engage. I
actually had a phone call yesterday from a family member of a resident in a care home that had recently had one of the tables. She saw us on Facebook because we were tagged in some of the posts, and she just rang us up off the website And it was literally just a phone call just to say thank you for developing this product. And I was in the middle of doing 3 things at once, as we do, and obviously, as being a man, I'm not very good at multitasking. So I kind of took this phone call, and she was just like, I just wanted to say thank you. I said, why? What have I done? And she said, no, for your product. She said, the amount of times that I try and Skype my mum in care, especially during all the lockdowns and COVID and what have you. She said, I'd be Skyping my mum, and the tablet would fall down, and she'd get frustrated because she couldn't see me or hear me very well. And then the member of staff would pick it back up and try and put it in her hands, and then she'd drop it again, etc., etc. She said it would just be so stressful for both of us. She said, I had my first Zoom call with my mother on the table, and she goes, it was the closest thing I can get to physically being there. She said, my mother had joy in her eyes. She said, I was over the moon. She said, I had to have a gin and tonic and a good cry afterwards. She said, it was well worth it. She goes, I just wanted to say thank you for developing this product, which I thought that is phone calls and emails and things like that. It was lovely.
Yeah. Well, it would make it so much easier for them to be engaged in those video calls. It just, you're more real size compared to this little dinky thing, you're trying to see. And that's a really, really cool thing. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, is there like a subscription, a monthly fee that people have to pay? So it's just kind of a one-time cost?
So that's one of the things that we wanted to come up with. Obviously, we can't mention any names for because it's professional mainly, but there are products out there where specifically for care, where there's a yearly cost for various different things, and that's one thing that we found was really frustrating for the care home managers and the proprietors, particularly the care home managers, because if they want to put their full weight behind a product and getting all the members of staff to use it, they want it nice and simple. They just want one cost, and they don't want to have to keep going to the owner cap in hand saying, can we have some more money this year because we need some more software. So one thing that we really kind of focused on was it's one cost, that's all of it. Okay, we'll give you a list of all the apps to use. Majority of them are free, yeah, but it's up to you. It's your personalised bit of kit. Okay, if you go on the Google Play Store, if you want to buy, if there's a specific app that you want to buy, that's completely up to you. Otherwise, like every app I've got on here is free. And that's what I prefer, is because you don't have the ongoing cost and worry of having to go, is a year we've got to pay for something again. We are looking at doing our own apps at some point because of the experience that we've now got. But we're going to be way off with that. But at some point, that is something that we're going to be looking at. We just want to get a load more feedback from the care homes that are using them at the moment. Fantastic.
I just absolutely adore this. I just think this is wonderful. In fact, I am going to connect you, and I don't know if I talked with you about this, with a company called VibeTech. It's called VibeTech. Both of you are on Dementia Map. Jeff has developed, it's an exercise machine. So you kind of sit on it, and then you put your feet on this pad, and the pad vibrates, and it actually builds muscle. But one of the things that they wanted was an engagement piece, and this would be large enough, versus something smaller to engage people. It'd be interesting for the two of you to talk and see if there was anything that would work together there. This is just wonderful. I can't speak highly enough about, I haven't physically seen this, but I don't even have to. Through your YouTube and through what you just showed us, this is really different, and just makes so much sense with the accessibility, the size, I love that there's not the subscription fee, because that's one thing I hear from people all the time when I used to travel around the country speaking, was just the costs of everything, and to be able to have this be basically a one-time cost, and then they can design what they want. You had also mentioned that you give people a list, because that was one thing I was going to ask, is do you give people a list of where to go and what do you recommend, kind of as a thing to start with and explore?
Well, it's quite daunting, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, you get a great big screen turn up at your care home, and you've never seen one physically in person before, and you saw a bit of a Zoom demonstration with either me or one of our team, and thought, that's fantastic. And then we build it all up specifically for the care home. We turn up, we drop it off, and we go, right, no, nice to see you, good luck. And you think, oh, what do I do now? So you turn it on, and then you're on the Google Play Store. You go, well, what do I download? It'd be so difficult if you never used one with a resident before to even think, where do I start? So that's, over the last few years, we've had quite a bit of experience with things that do work, and things that work really, really well as well within a care setting. So that's why we try and make it as easy as possible. And then when the staff, because the staff have got to get confident with it as well, when the staff have got their confidence, then they can start going, well, we don't quite like this application, we'll delete that, and let's go on the Google Play Store, let's see which ones are similar. So, and as I said, people in care, they've always got our contact details as well. So if they're ever unsure, the amount of phone calls that we all get daily, how do we do this, or how would this work best for this resident, etc., and we like it.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. We have to make sure we give everybody your contact information so people can go to www.inspired-inspirations.com. That's inspired-inspirations.com. Or they can email Stewart at inspired-inspirations.com. And you are also on Facebook. Under Inspired Inspiration Touchscreens. You're also on Twitter as Activity Screens, and then YouTube, which you're going to want to explore and be able to see a little bit more Inspired Inspirations touchscreen tables. This has been fabulous. I can't wait for more people to hear about this. So thank you and your family for all you're doing, making a significant difference for so many people.
Thank you very much. We really do appreciate the time that you've taken to have a look at it as well, and the feedback. So it means the world to us. So, and yeah, if anyone has any questions, the easiest place to go is either Facebook or our website. So if you go on Facebook, we're quite active on there, so you can see all the latest pictures and videos and testimonials and things like that. But yeah, the website's got a fair bit of information. We've recently got a page specifically for dementia as well, how touchscreen technology can help those with dementia. But we're constantly updating things and putting new videos out there. So keep an eye on it and see what comes out next.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. So again, you've got Stewart's contact information. You can always reach out to me at alzheimerspeaks.com. I would love to talk to you, and maybe you can be our next guest. In the meantime, have a blessed week, everyone, and we'll talk soon. Bye now.
Hi, everyone. This is Meredith from the Senior Fitness with Meredith podcast, where I discuss all things for seniors, from fitness, your health and wellness journeys, how to be all over strong and beyond. I also have my mini podcast called Motivation with Meredith. It's a great, quick motivational pick-me-up for your days. Join me, listen now, search for Senior Fitness with Meredith on your favorite podcast platform.